Hey YouTube viewers, Mr. Math here, and welcome to my first ever Let's Play. This is the first episode of Let's Play...
Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.
Yeah, that. I'm playing the Wii U version since my 3DS doesn't have the ultra-expensive third-party recording hardware mod. Otherwise, I would definitely be playing the 3DS version to give you the true experience. I figure that of the few viewers I'll get, probably all of them will be Shantae fans who came looking for Shantae videos, but on the off chance that any of my viewers are not fans of the series, or are simply looking for info, I'll give a few details. Shantae is a series of Metroid-style adventure platformer games. The star of the game is a half-genie, half-human belly-dancing girl named Shantae. As of the date of this recording, there are 3 games in the series, with the 4th under development and scheduled to be released fairly soon. Note, by the way, that I said Metroid style rather than Metroidvania. If we're very lucky, I'll get through this Let's Play without going on a tear about how Metroidvania is not the right word for this, and people keep using it wrong, and nobody knows what it means anymore, and blah blah blah. I'll strive to resist that temptation. Anyway, in my opinion, the Shantae series is criminally underrated and unknown, and the fault for that pretty much lies with the developer. I have a hard time saying anything bad about WayForward, because they're good people and good developers, but they really dropped the ball on Shantae. The original Shantae was released on the Game Boy Color in 2002, which was right when people were throwing away their Game Boy Colors and getting Game Boy Advances. So nobody was interested in the Game Boy Color's swan song. As a result, Shantae flopped, despite rave reviews from the critics, and the series has been languishing in obscurity ever since. That's been starting to change over the past few years, thanks to aggressive advertising by WayForward and word of mouth from old and new fans. But the Shantae fanbase is still very much a cult following. It's not a mainstream game series. I hope to help speed the change with my humble Let's Play. Now, my favorite game in the series is the first one because it shows the start of everything. It introduces the world and characters, and it begins the story. Also, it has the best dancing mechanics. The dancing controls are relatively simple but very versatile. They could almost be called a modest rhythm minigame in their own right. Overall, the original Shantae, despite being cursed with some frustratingly primitive game mechanics, is a solid and long game that you can really sink your teeth into. With that said, from a purely objective technical standpoint, the third game, Pirate's Curse, that I'm about to Let's Play for you, is the best game in the series. Pirate's Curse takes everything good from the first 2 games, combines it all into one whole game, and polishes it to a mirror shine. The story and characters are more fleshed out, the platforming action has some minor but still noticeable modernizations. It's basically just better all around. So, the first game is my favorite in the series, but the third game is objectively the best of the series. So far, at least. Well, that's enough blah 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 stuff. Let's get on with the actual game. I've beaten Pirate's Curse many times already, and there are 2 endings. If all goes well, I'll be able to show you both endings. So, I deleted all of my save files, partly because once you've beaten the game you really don't need them anymore, but also because the save file has locations attached to it, and I didn't want you guys to end up with any spoilers. So, new game. Pirate Mode is a New Game Plus mode that you unlock when you beat the game for the first time. I'm not going to play it, at least not on this Let's Play. Maybe a future playthrough that I'll put on, but I haven't decided yet. So let's just get on with this. And here's the opening. On the Wii U, this game is primarily played on the gamepad, but I'm not using the gamepad here. I've broken out one of my old Wii remotes and attached the Classic Controller Pro, and I'm using the Classic Controller Pro to control this because with the gamepad I can't show you guys the inventory screen and the map screen and all of that. It's limited to just the gamepad's touchscreen. That's the word I'm looking for. But with the Classic Controller Pro, I can push the start button and show you that stuff. And so here's Shantae waking up. Fan service. Ah, she's been having this dream for a while. Yes, for those of you who are new to the series, meet Shantae, our half-genie, half-human belly dancing heroine. This is also the first game in the series that has voice acting, even though it's just these little exclamations. But yeah, she's been having this dream every night. How mysterious. Yeah, ever since I became human, that shows that this story is a direct continuation from the previous game, from the second game in the series. At the end of the second game, she lost her genie magic. And for all practical purposes, she's now 100% human. Ooh, what was that? Yeah, we want to know that too, Shantae. Ooh, her hometown is under attack. And you can see a building falling in the background there. Notice that she took the time to get dressed and put her hair up in a ponytail. Yes, Shantae is the guardian of Scuttletown. It's kind of a thing in this world, Sequinland, for towns to have guardian genies. But it's also part of the plot that there are no genies left. There are only half genies, and not very many of them either. Shantae is pretty close to unique in this world. So off we go. And here are her best friends, Sky and Bolo. Yeah, so pirates are a big problem in Sequinland, but this time it's some dude called the Ammo Baron, who also appeared in the previous game. The Ammo Baron more or less purchased Scuttletown. He's now the owner of the town, and for some reason he's decided to attack his property. And Sky, who is an expert in breeding and training birds, gives us an auto potion. Auto potions refill your life meter to maximum if you get all the way down to empty. And yeah, Bolo is an idiot, but he's also a pretty good fighter. And so since the end of the second game, he's been kind of sort of training Shantae to fight like a human. Yeah, so the pike ball is an old item that's been in every Shantae game so far. So let's actually open the menu here. So thanks to the Classic Controller Pro, I can open the menu and show you this stuff. So here's the auto potion. When and if I lose all my life, it refills me to maximum. So it saves me from dying. And then the pike ball, it orbits around you and causes damage to any enemy that comes nearby. I'm going to be using the pike ball in the boss fight that's about to come up. And I can also show you the other menus. Here's key items. I don't have any yet, but that will change. This menu gets really full. And then the map. This is a big change for Shantae. The previous two games in the series had pretty bad mapping systems, but this game goes to a streamlined Metroid-style mapping system that really is effective. It's one of the big reasons why this game is vastly superior to the previous two. Anyway, enough of this. So, Shantae's moveset's pretty basic right now. She can jump and she can whip with her hair. And she can break pots like in The Legend of Zelda to get stuff. And she can drop through certain floors by crouching and pushing jump. Anyway, these guys are soldiers who work for the ammo baron. And you can see they're pretty easy to beat, just a single hair whip. There are tougher ones who come later, though. The red guy takes 2 hits instead of just 1, and he dropped a meat chunklet. That's a healing item. Oop. Normally, this is a tutorial level, and normally I'd be racing through it a lot faster than this, but I'm kind of showing it off to you guys. This is a throwback to the first game. The second game did not have a tutorial level at the beginning like this, but the first game did, and I think it's a really effective game design mechanic. And here's the mayor of Scuttletown. His name is Mayor Scuttlebutt. No, I am not making that up. That really is his name. Yeah, the mayor is pretty useless. See, he sold the town to the ammo baron in the previous game, and now we're kind of stuck with it. Yeah, he spent all of the money on chocolates because he's a fat guy. And I'm entitled to make fun of him because I'm a fat guy too. Yeah, that's the kind of humor you can expect from Shantae. Either fan service or vague, maybe not so vague, intimations of nasty biological stuff. Yeah, Ret to Go. That is a reference from the first game. It's pretty famous among Shantae fans because that's the abbreviation for Ready to Go that the game uses. And another Let's Player who Let's Played the first game, he goes by the name of Brickroad, he mentioned that Ret to Go sounds like the name of a furniture rental service. I really can't argue with him on that point. So we have a lot of variety here, but it's all pretty easy, which it ought to be because, it's an intro level, not a real level. And that rectangular thing was money. The round things are worth 1 gem, and the rectangular ones are worth 5. And these gray soldiers require 3 hits to take down, but they're not difficult. You just duck to avoid their shots. This level is really easy because the enemies aren't difficult and there are lots of refill hearts. Lots of health refill hearts. It is possible to die, but it's very difficult. You have to be pretty bad to mess up this intro level. And by the way, notice down below, out of the water, you see those skull and crossbones drifting up? The official documentation calls that stuff pit poison. And that is a sign that if you fall down in there, it hurts you. That's the way you can tell the difference between a hole that you can fall into and a hole that you can't. It's really a good visual clue, and it's amazing and very common-sensible addition that they made to the game in the second game in the series. It's good that they brought it back. And by the way, this big heart here is a full health refill item. Refills you up to full if you're missing anything. And here's a secret area. If you just run right at it, you start crawling automatically to get through. And there's some money in there. Those big jars hold 10 gems. Yeah, I'm deliberately killing all of these guys in the hopes of getting money from them. I'm not having very much luck with them though. Right now they're not dropping anything. And by the way, Shantae has some pretty famous moves. You can see she's sort of grooving back and forth there, and every now and then she fixes her hair up. And when you duck, she wiggles her bottom like she's a cat ready to pounce. Okay, now we're getting into a slightly more harrowing area. There's lots of obstacles here that you need to dodge. And this is actually a somewhat awkward area for a standard gamer because your instinct is to slow down and take it carefully. What you actually have to do is keep going and just power through this area. And here you have to actually let the platform crumble under you to get down here. Yeah, so you just gotta keep moving fast to get through there. It's not difficult, but it does go against the usual instincts of a video game player. Don't slow down, just keep moving. And for these guys, you can either jump over them or run over them. You'll make it either way. On the next one, there's going to be 4 of them. But, you know, same thing. It's not difficult. And then down below, there's going to be a huge pile of them. Yeah, this is actually a clue to the fact that the Ammo Baron's army is kind of self-defeating at times. That's going to come into play much later in the game. Spoiler alert. And we caught up to Sky and Bolo. Yeah, that is Sky's pet bird, Wrench. And they've been able to talk to each other since the very first game, but it doesn't come into play very often. Oh, that's a horrible line, Shantae. Hey, and Sky agrees with me. Yeah, I'm being rather generous with the gems. I'm almost up to 70. Usually I'm only in the 50s when I get through here. And I'm officially up to 70 gems. And there are 2 pots hidden back here. I did pretty well, 76 gems. Okay, it's time for the boss fight of the intro level. And the boss is very simple.
Ammo Baron!
Yep, that's the Ammo Baron. Most interesting thing about this guy is that he only has a single eye. I don't know what that's all about, but, well, there you go. So he's tearing down preschools and retirement centers and replacing them with weaponry. Not a nice guy. Weaponizes the elderly. Yeah, this game, the Shantae series in general, is good for some pretty witty and well thought out dialogue. Yeah, and the Ammo Baron, in addition to weaponizing the elderly, is also a sexist jerk. Yeah, actually. Okay, Sequin Land's legal system is kind of weird. Because Ammo Baron looks that law up here, the Chocoholic Whatever Act, and turns out it's real. I guess chocoholism is a serious problem here in Sequin Land. Yeah, so another kind of Legend of Zelda reference there where it has a subtitle to the name of the boss. And to beat this guy, you stand here until you see the red cannonball and shoot it back at him. And then whip him when he falls on the ground. And I forgot to use the pike ball. It just gives me some extra damage against the Ammo Baron when I have him down. By the way that items are, discrete items rather than magic spells in this game. In the first game, that's how it worked, and in the second game, they were turned into magic spells. So Shantae had a magic meter, and having the pike ball out would drain her magic slowly. I don't like that system. A lot of people do prefer it that way, but I don't. I like having items be actual items, where you have an inventory of them. And that's all there is to it. 3 or 4 red cannonballs to the face, and the tank is down. And it's time for more dialogue. Yeah, don't count your chickens before they're hatched, Shantae. Okay, apparently this guy comes from a long line of weird military freaks. His mother gives him tanks as gifts? Okay. And here's the rest of the cast. This is Shantae's Uncle Mimic. He's not really her uncle, he's more like a very close friend slash father figure, but she calls him uncle. He's kind of sort of the de facto leader of the town, is Uncle Mimic. Although the mayor always had the final say, and that's caused a bit of friction in the past, specifically in game number 2. Yeah, that ship has sailed, my friend. You're not getting your chocolates back. And here, this is something new to this game. Yeah, so this is the first time in the series that we get something of a look at Sequinland's government. We've never encountered the royal family and their guards before now. Yeah, so Sequinland is ruled by a sultana, and for some reason they're coming down on Shantae. So apparently the Chocoholics Act doesn't overcome the fact that Ammo Baron now owns the town. Yeah, I'm not sure I would want to live in Sequinland because it looks like someone who owns a town has a lot of leeway for what he can get away with. And my first key item that I'll show you in the inventory soon. Yeah, well, she only has one special weapon, so that means... yeah, her hair whip. Okay, I need to pause here and talk about this line. It looks like it's meant as just a comedic throwaway line, and this is meant to be a funny situation. They're going to relieve her of special weaponry by chopping her hair off. But it's not just a throwaway line. This is actually a very important key to Shantae's character. As I mentioned earlier, Shantae is a half genie, half human. What I haven't mentioned is that she never knew either of her parents, her mother or her father, her genie mother or her human father. So because of that, Shantae has always valued her genie side and the magic that came with it. Not because she's power hungry or arrogant with it, but because to her it's really the only connection she has to the family she's never known. At the end of the second game, the villain of that game, Risky Boots, the pirate lady, she stole Shantae's magic, and Shantae actually destroyed her own magic to stop Risky from using it for her nefarious purposes. For Shantae, that was actually a pretty serious thing to do, because she was basically destroying her own dream of being close to her mother. After that was done, she and her Uncle Mimic had a brief conversation where they talked about, even though her genie magic was gone, she still had her fancy hair whip, and it was speculated that maybe her hair whip came from her human father instead of her genie mother. And now she's facing the prospect of losing even that. When she says that her hair whip is all she has left, for her, that's a very literal statement. It is all she has left. of her dreams and her very identity. Digression over. Let's continue. So Mimic is counseling patients. Yeah, see, Mimic is a very respected fellow in Sequinland. He's kind of a scholarly elder type. Yeah, and there we see more of their father-daughter type relationship. Your town? It's not your town anymore, dude.
Wait up!
It's kind of Risky Boots' fault, Shantae. Kind of. And apparently she knows that. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. More fan service. Wet and soapy bubble bath Shantae. Yeah, so you'd think that's something that you would remember. You know, you go into your house and find a bathtub that wasn't there before, and you just jump right in and have a bubble bath. Okay. And look who it is.
Risky Boots.
Yep. She's missing her trademark hat. She seems to have replaced it with a bandana, but it's definitely her. I think they deliberately used this pose with her because that's a pose that you see in a lot of magazine pinup pictures. Yeah, so Risky is kind of reaching out on a limb here. Because, as Shantae mentions, yeah. Now that's interesting. Shantae doesn't believe it. For good reason, to be fair. However, yep, that fellow in the glass tube there is a Tinkerbat. The Tinkerbats have been Risky's crew members since the very first game. Yeah, see, that's a reference to the end of the second game. The way Risky Boots stole Shantae's genie magic was she got a hold of a genie lamp and used it to suck Shantae's magic away from her. And I gotta say, if Shantae was going for revenge for that, I wouldn't blame her one bit for it. Oh yeah, he looks terrified, Risky. Yeah. The Tinkerbats are kind of blasé about everything. Or perhaps more accurately, they don't really show much emotion. So we can't tell what they feel. Anyway, Risky goes into spoiled brat mode here. But, suddenly, some dark misty stuff goes down the tube and infects the Tinkerbat. I gotta say, that looks painful. A Cacklebat. Okay, Risky seems to know something here. how? She's stuck in your booby-trapped bathtub. And somehow she manages to get dressed and put her hair back up in a ponytail, so... Apparently Shantae is really good at doing that quickly. Cacklebats are not difficult, but once you get them down to about half health, they rise up into the air like that and swoop down at you. It's pretty easy to dodge, though. And look what it is. It's the magic lamp that Risky used back in game number 2. And push the X button. And Shantae does a cute little dance while sucking it up. Yeah, let's have an explanation, Risky Boots. Oh, come on. Lots of melodramatic name dropping. And off she goes. Yeah, Shantae, we want to know what that was about, too. That's a good question. Who is the pirate master that she just mentioned? Okay, this is where the game really begins. And the first time you play, you want to talk to everyone. For example, talk to this little kid, and he tells you that you can skip people's conversations by pushing the start button. That's important to make a speed run. So let's talk to Risky some more. And she tells us a little bit about the Pirate Master, the greatest threat Sequin Land has ever known. Yeah, and suddenly we're getting a bit of history about what happened to the genies. Like I mentioned, there are no more genies in this world. They suddenly disappeared a while ago. And now we're finding out why they disappeared. And actually what I just said is not strictly accurate. It wasn't the fight with the Pirate Master that made them disappear, or else if it was, the game's not actually saying that. So we still don't fully understand why they're gone. But anyway, the Pirate Master is apparently powered by dark magic. And it can be used to transform Tinkerbats into Cacklebats. Yeah, and that's typical Risky Boots there. She wants to do the quote-unquote right thing by stopping the Pirate Master, but for her own selfish purposes. But even though Shantae has ample reason not to trust her, she wants to join forces and help. And Risky Boots is customarily dismissive, but as Shantae points out, yeah, how's she going to do it by herself? So it appears Risky Boots does have a plan. But she needs a map of the Forbidden Isles to see that plan through. And yeah, the library at the palace ought to have it, but... yeah, Risky Boots is a notorious pirate, so yeah, she couldn't go anywhere near there. Yeah, and Shantae's kind of worried about going there too, because she doesn't want to lose her hair. Okay, so job number 1, go to the Sequin Land Palace and fetch the map. By the way, a bit of funny dialogue here. Most of these people have funny dialogue, but this lady... yeah, because Risky doesn't have her hat, perfect disguise, like Clark Kent with his glasses. Okay, so job number 1, go to Sequin Land Palace and find the map. But first I want to stop by the store. I don't think I have enough money to buy anything that I really want. But I'm going to show it off to you. All of these items up here are consumables. Potions that refill your life meter, auto potions that work automatically if you run out of life power. You know, all of these kinds of things. You can buy pike balls. But at the same time, most of these things also are dropped by enemies. So you probably won't need to spend a lot of money on consumables. On the other hand, this stuff down here, these are upgrades. Shampoo and Silky Cream upgrade your hair for more damage and faster whipping, respectively. Backdash is a way to dodge attacks. Recover is a way to jump back onto your feet if you're physically knocked backward by a really heavy hit. And the Power Kick is completely useless. I don't say that lightly, but it's true. The Power Kick is useless. It is a slow attack that does 10 points of damage, as compared to, for example, Shantae's base hair whip that does only 5. That sounds good, and at the beginning of the game it can be good. But by the time you earn enough money to buy this thing, chances are you'll have upgraded your hair quite a bit. And fast hair whipping outdoes the Power Kick easily. And there are other fancy attacks I'll earn through the game that also do at least as much as the Power Kick, sometimes more. So yeah, the Power Kick is useless. It's expensive, it's slow, and even your basic hair whip can end up outpowering it eventually. So I'll probably buy everything in here, but the Power Kick will be last because I don't actually need it. So we need to go to the palace and the library, which is this way. However, this guy, yeah, we need to find a library card. To get the library card, you go up here. And look who it is, it's Guy. By the way, the music in this area is a remix of one of the songs from the soundtrack of the first game. It's one of the best songs in the first game's soundtrack, and the way they remixed it here is really beautiful. It's an excellent piece of music. That's something that the Shantae series has always really been good for. The music and the graphics have always been top-notch. And I'm one of those gamers who says, graphics are not as important as gameplay, and I absolutely believe that. But when you have excellent gameplay like you do in the Shantae series, beautiful graphics and wonderful music is like the icing on the cake. It really makes for a fantastic experience. Anyway, so Sky is surprised to see Shantae out and about. Shantae is not very good at thinking on her feet. So she's trying to come up with a story to explain herself. I guess that works. Well, that's rather snarky of you, Sky. I guess Shantae is not known to be a very big reader. Interesting story behind that one. Yeah. This game has really fantastic dialogue and characters. And there's one other thing we have to do before that guy will allow us to leave town, and that's save the game right here. And that's actually a good place to stop the game. Stop the video, I mean. So I'm going to save and stop the video here. And then I will see you next time on the second installment of Let's Play Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Later, viewers.